Let's try this again.
Whew, I had a hangover.
We're keeping it a little light today.
Yeah.
If you guys don't notice this,
Sparkling
it's
water.
not liquor in the bucket. It's White Claws. Still want to get that, buzz going, but want to finish the conversation that we started last week, but in a very sober mindset.
Yeah.
Maybe not sober, but less intoxicated mindset.
Oh, we weren't even making sense.
We, again, got a lot of feedback. I just want to emphasize, I love viewer feedback, so please keep it coming. If you want to stay anonymous, you can submit in our anonymous link, but DMs work just fine.
Yeah, and we're going to get into a blather, Amy, from Scotland, so thank you for your comment as well.
We have fan base in Scotland now, which is insane, and we're going to have more blethers. But in terms of feedback, we're going to have Ruben chime in and give us some questions or feedback and go from there.
Alrighty. So, couple of questions, kind of feedback. The first one, tell Ruben to talk into the mic more.
I know who that's from.
Guys,
Ruben,
I have fans.
Take notes.
I have fans. He adds good commentary, and hearing him laugh adds another good element.
Because you have that high-pitched, funny laugh.
Yeah.
And I think what they're saying is you're saying some funny things, and we can hear it, but they can't hear it.
Right.
So, yeah, I agree.
I do agree.
I'll
Speak
try
up,
to do
but
my
like,
Don't overdo it,
but like
though,
not
pal,
too
okay?
much.
Okay, and then Tweeezy mentioned the story about returning from being sent away and his dad's health taking a turn. We need to hear more of the story, please.
I knew that. I was like, okay, I have to be prepared. So, we'll get into that today.
And last piece is, the last episode was hilarious. Kudos to you for realizing the conversation towards the end was a conversation better had sober. The cliffhanger made me want more. Please elaborate.
Good place to jump off. I think we were planning on doing that anyway.
Yeah.
Why? Okay. It's an important topic for a few different reasons, right? Gender identity is obviously a big topic these last several years. And the reason why we stopped is, number one, I don't think we could follow a train of thoughts.
No.
Number two, I think it's an important topic to people that may be dealing with gender identity pressure or issues. And so we wanted to make sure that our opinions aren't always the absolute truth, obviously.
Right.
But in order for us to talk about it, we wanted to make sure that we communicated our opinions as clearly as we possibly could.
Yeah. The reason that video of that pastor really it didn't resonate with me, but it kind of caused such a reaction in me is because, I come from a family of masculinity. My dad, professional football player, 4 older brothers, macho men, and not once did any of you really critique or tell me who to be, how to be it. And it bothers me that this man just goes on the internet, and it bothered me even more that it was a child that he was using to prove his point. But as somebody who is a Christian, who's supposed to lead by faith and the image of God, you're just spreading hate. And if you think that is you being a masculine role model, I think you're fucking confused, my guy.
I think one of the interesting parts of this show is that we do come from different backgrounds. There's an age gap, obviously, which does have, I think, influence on our worldview.
Totally.
The obvious differences in sexual identity being one, too. I watched the video. When we first brought it up, too, that was another thing that I hadn't actually seen the video. So I was going based on your description. I've seen the video. I've seen one with commentary on it, too. My thought on it initially was, here's somebody that has an agenda. The pastor that was talking about it. There's a boy that's 12, looks like to be 12 or 13. His whole thing was his mom's feminizing him. Here's the thing,
also mentally and spiritually ill.
Yeah. Just a lot of personal attacks, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, it's just kind of a gross commentary on the whole issue. However, I understand, I think, what he was trying to say. 12 to 13-year-old boy crying, ecstatic, looking like a girl in the 60s at a Beatles concert. it isn't the biggest display of masculinity. It's not. Now,
And I agree, it's not.
is that wrong? I think is kind of what we're talking about.
What the debate is.
So I understand what he's saying, and I agree. It's not masculine, but we don't know anything about the kid.
Yeah, it was a major assumption on his part about many things, about the kid, about the parental situation, the mother stole custody, you know, and lack of a strong father figure. And my point to that is I had 4 strong masculine figures, 5, and the outcome doesn't seem to be any different. I mean, I was a fucking ballerina for Halloween, for crying out loud. And so I don't think that makes the difference that he thinks it's going to make.
Well, maybe. I think his whole point is to have a male figure admonish or construct an environment where that isn't allowed.
But
right?
Right.
And we didn't do that. So to bring a counter argument, maybe, and this is mind reading now, but maybe in his mind, he felt that if there were 4 straight brothers in that boy's environment, had we made fun of him for that, there would have been behavior modification that took place. And it might be true in that boy's case. I don't know. In your case, it wouldn't have mattered. It would have alienated you, and it would have made our relationship worse.
Well, and I don't even think it has to be them making fun of him. I think he's saying there's a lack of male leadership.
Yeah.
And that caused him to be this way.
Yeah.
And my point to that is you don't know that because speaking from experience, I still turned out the way that I
100%.
am. And you can't sit here and say that is the cause. Oh, this looks like another, no masculine father figure influence on this kid. And now he's a mentally and spiritually ill, which is also
it's gross.
a disgusting statement. And my problem with it is I feel like people use religion sometimes to spew their hateful personal vendettas, dislikes about certain communities, certain people. And to me, that is not very godlike.
It's a lever to pull on for people that, for whatever reason, just don't like certain aspects of lifestyle. Again, I think what I was trying to say is the argument that he would probably bring is he would put the responsibility on us as brothers and saying, you should have changed that before it actually happened.
Right.
In his mind, had we been different toward you and not even making fun of you, but maybe sat you down and said, hey, you know, being feminine isn't the right way to be. So that's his whole worldview, right? So I don't know how you change anything. I think from my opinion, the way that we went about it, obviously, I believe is the right way to do it, is you accept people for who they are.
Right.
You celebrate them. You make them feel comfortable. And you, as an older brother, you try to guide people into better decisions if you can, within the framework of who they are, though.
Well, and who's to say what is right and what is wrong? Who's to say that? My thing is there's enough macho masculine men. And in fact, actually, I think there's not enough because there's people like this guy who think they are that. Leaders, you're not a leader. I think that there's enough of the male gender that exist in this world that you can have the macho, typical masculine man, and you can also have the more feminine man. But they're all still men because
there's no right or wrong.
Because if a woman who transitions to a female is not a female because she has the male chromosomes, then no matter how feminine you are, you're still a man. And I don't think that there needs to be a cookie cutter cutout where like you have to be this toy soldier that this guy deems that everybody needs to be.
Which brings us back to the original topic, right? Which was, what is masculinity? Right? And that was sort of like our jumping off point of going, okay, if you have a 12 or 13-year-old boy, maybe that kid isn't even gay. Maybe he's just sensitive.
Yes.
Maybe he's just really in
tune with his emotions.
Yeah. And so after that, we wrapped that episode a couple days later, I was thinking about it. And my initial response to you was I didn't have a good definition of what masculinity is because I don't think about it all the time. I've had some time to think about it. My point was like, you probably think about it more because you're
Right.
looking at men more and
Right.
considering that more.
And masculinity is a requirement for
The
who
guys that
I'm
you like.
into,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
so of course I am critiquing people's masculinity, but I think that leads into what we're gonna say is,
Yeah.
if you're a man
Yeah.
who runs around constantly critiquing other men,
It's
is
kind
there?
of-
It's a little weird.
It's a little fun.
Is there something that you need to
Yeah.
tell the world?
Well, I think one of the commentaries was well, wherever you're accusing, you're guilty of, or whatever.
Yeah, an accusation is a admittance or
Admission.
something.
Yeah.
admission,
But I did think about it. So, and I'll use this as a reference point because I was talking to Laura about it, and she kind of had the same reaction. Was I watching the episode, and I was like, man, it's describing masculinity is actually harder than it seemed like it should be. When we moved down to Long Beach, we were in an apartment, and there were like these two buff dudes, like mustaches. They looked like they were firemen, and we couldn't figure out like, do they live together? What is happening here?
Hot.
They were gay, but like I would have never known, dude.
Yeah.
Like if you think about that as like outwardly being masculine, that may be what sort of picture you draw in your brain of
So
it,
they're
right?
basically my type.
But then we talked, yeah. But then we talked about, I think what we settled in on, it's also sort of a personality, physicality, but also like an aura. So you don't have to be, facial structure, bone structure, and all that stuff. You can look masculine, but if you're worried about other dudes all the time, like you're insecure.
Yeah.
That kind of betrays your look, so it doesn't really work. So it's also like an aura or a vibe, right? Like, so you may not look the most masculine, but if you're confident and, then that's masculine too.
Yeah.
So I think there's different ways that you can be masculine.
When I see a video like that, the only thing I can think of is that is somebody who is extremely insecure about their own masculinity.
Yeah.
Because if you're secure in your masculinity, who cares what the next guy's level of masculinity is?
Yeah.
Who cares? Unless you are trying to recruit your soldiers
Yeah.
in your effort to prove your own masculinity. Like
Yeah.
I don't sit there and critique other people's being because and this is what I wanted to say is everybody's their own individual. You can be a more feminine man, you can be a more masculine man, but how fucking ugly and annoying would the world be if everybody was
same.
that masculine image
Yeah.
that he said? I mean, I would probably go straight, to be honest, because like I'm good. Like that would probably drive me to vagina real quick.
We, Laura and I were also talking. We were thinking, and the people that know you will understand this. Maybe people that are just seeing you from this show or from your Instagram profile will probably think I'm fucking crazy. But you have masculine aspects to you.
I do.
I can't point my finger on exactly what they are. Like if you're to put me to the test and say, what is it about you that is?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just this underlying, like, some days I wake up and I'm like, I want to be on fleek. I want to, like, well, it's a lot of days. And it's also certain situations that test a different side of me. And I think growing up, like, feeling like I always had to, like, prove myself or, I feel like I was in survival mode a lot of my childhood. And I get easily triggered of like, oh, you think that you're going to, because I like to look pretty, you think that I'm weak?
Yeah.
Check this out, bitch. And like that's when my like youngest of 5 boys comes in. That's when like the East Side comes in. And so like we talked about in the last episode, people are multidimensional. And so one day I want to be
code switching.
One day I want to kick it with the girls
Yeah.
and we could talk about, dick pics and all that shit. And then I go kick it with the boys and I'm like, what's up, bruh?
Not
I'm
talking
like,
about dick pics.
yeah, no, we're not. And that's why I literally get along with most people is because of that.
I think if the pastor met you, he'd probably get along with you after he got past his own bullshit.
Right. And I feel like it's funny is like people always tell me like you changed my view of what I think the gay community I'm not really I am part of the gay community, but I'm not in the community, right? I don't hang out frequent the gay spots, but people are always like, if I got $1 for every time like, a straight masculine dude was like, you know what, you're actually hella cool. And I'm like, people look at me and expect me to act one way, but then when they actually kick it with me, they're like, you're the homie, you're the pretty homie.
Yeah, you don't make people feel uncomfortable. Like I've been around other people that
Right.
you know.
Do the most.
yeah.
And they also make me uncomfortable too sometimes. But
And by the way, Jesus loves everyone. Just so you know, Mr. Pastor.
right, exactly. And so that was why that video triggered me, because the way I look at it is like, what's the bigger issue here? Somebody who, he's a man, he's a little more feminine, but he lives his authentic truth,
Yep.
and who he presents himself is who he is, or someone who pretends to be masculine and lives their life recruiting, their masculine soldiers and pushing this, like, to me, that
an agenda.
that is less masculine to me.
I agree.
Somebody embracing who they are and having the guts to live their truth.
Yep.
To me, that's what makes you a man.
I think there's another dimension to this too, where there's like I don't know if it's true or not, and there's probably contributing factors to this, but there's like there seems like there'd be less masculinity in some of the younger generations. I kind of see some of it at the gym, where, and I think this might be influenced too by the whole toxic masculinity movement, where a lot of dudes were ashamed from who they really were and being masculine to modifying behaviors that a certain group of people found offensive. And so you have now, I'll tell you, particularly my generation, where when a lot of that shit was happening, it seemed like people were talking out of both sides of their mouth, because on one hand, they're celebrating accepting everybody from the gay community, but at the same time saying, hey, you can't be too masculine because it's an affront to our community. So there's like this weird sort of loosey-goosey gray area now where people are trying to figure out, okay, well, can I be my authentic self? As long as I'm not hurting anybody else,
yes,
is it okay to be my masculine self? And I think in the dating world, because I hear this from whether it be our cousin or whoever else, single friends that I have, is that there's a lot of women now that are like, these dudes don't know how to be masculine.
Right.
Because they're afraid to be.
they don't know how to lead. They don't know how to take initiative.
So getting back to what he's saying, I think probably that was a little bit of a commentary on trends of men not feeling comfortable being masculine now. I don't really have that issue because I don't give a fuck, honestly.
Yeah, right. And I don't think anybody else should.
I'm also married.
Yeah.
Happily married for forever. Got a little shit for that comment. Love you.
Love you.
So I think that's a real issue too, where like some guys, if you're super masculine, they probably don't give a fuck either. But if you're in that like sliding scale of you're like, I don't even know what's acceptable now and how I can be my true self. So don't forget that side too.
Yeah. And that's probably like also a good question that we should talk about on another episode is, we kind of talked about I was born gay, right? Like, is your masculine energy or your feminine energy, is that environmental, or is it kind of something that is like
Born in you?
you're born with? Because, there's kids who they're so little and they play with Barbies or whatever, but then they grow out of it and they live a masculine life.
It's probably both.
Yeah.
But that's that guy's point, which is like if you provide an environment for a normally heterosexual boy and you don't expose him to Taylor Swift, is he going to go to the concert and cry?
Well,
probably, maybe, I don't know. Yes, Eric?
To that point, imagine if, and I think it also comes down to the individual, right? Because I was presented with a choice as a kid, like either be my authentic self and run the risk of like my family not accepting me, or I could cave and live how I think they want me to. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you're either living a real life or you're living a fake life. Sure. And you can bully somebody, you can do whatever you need to do to make somebody live the life that you think they should, but underneath that, they are who they're supposed to be. Can
I address this from a fatherly perspective?
Yeah.
Because I have
absolutely
kids. I've realized that my kids respond to example. This is probably known. Everybody can probably attest to this. I can tell them something. But if it's contradictory to what I'm doing, it's bullshit. Yeah. So like I think providing an example is the most powerful way to provide an environment. So in your case, I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like having the example of what masculinity looks like from 4 older brothers that were heterosexual. It wasn't pressed upon you. You just learned it from watching, and that's probably some of the dimensions you have of your masculinity. It wasn't forced on you.
Right.
It was picked up along the way.
Right. And your environment, I think, does play a part in
so
it.
too.
And I think growing up in a masculine household, and who knows, maybe if I didn't have my masculine brothers, maybe I would be this like makeup tutorial, like fairy girl, like maybe that would be me. I can't say because that's not how my life turned out. But I think that everybody needs to just mind their fucking business, and like as long as nobody's hurting anybody, like let people be their own identities. Like
there was a way to have his idea across without being so judgmental too.
Yeah, and even if he did have a better way to communicate whatever he was trying to say, I don't even know that I necessarily would still agree with it. But and I don't have to.
It's his opinion,
and you can have your opinion. Yeah. But when your opinion is attacking a child and you're trying to like
that poor kid, I imagine that poor kid.
He commented on the guy's post and said, "Please remove this. I'm a minor. Your fan base has sent me death threats, told me to kill myself. Like I didn't want this type of attention because his mother posted a video of him at a Taylor Swift concert. It's insane and unacceptable. And due to timing reasons, I think we need to end it there.
That's good. I
think it was good.
Yeah.
If you're somebody who thinks that you need to dictate how somebody else lives their life, I hope you actually find Jesus.
I'm kind of curious too, the audience of the masculinity thing too. If you have any examples that you wanted to share, like a dude going out on dates, have you ever felt pressure to be less masculine?
Yeah.
To impress a chick?
Or if you are a masculine man and you pay attention to other men's masculinity, let me know.
Bodybuilders.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess this is probably the segment where we talk about my father.
Okay. Where do you want to jump off? So I think the initial question was, after you get back from, what was the story when you got back from boarding school? You mentioned your dad had a health issue. Where do you want to start the story?
Yeah. I want to start the story first by saying that I'm going to talk about things and people, and this is not to paint anybody in a bad light.
Do we want to make it anonymous, or can you?
No, I'm not going to make it anonymous. This is my story. But I'm going to tell my story. And
if you're involved in this story and you're worried about where this goes, just stop now.
Stop watching.
All right, let me get comfortable.
And I do want to preface it by saying,
good word,
when I came home from wilderness and boarding school, I was in a very rebellious, I was angry. I was an angry kid when I came back from the wilderness.
I can't imagine why.
And I was angry before I went to the wilderness. I used to punch holes in my wall.
Masculine.
There's that masculine.
Wearing a wife beater too.
There was one, no, shirtless.
Of course.
There was one point I had so many holes in my door, and to clarify, to maybe justify, I would get in trouble, and then my parents would take away my phone and then make me go in my room.
Because it wasn't really your door.
And it...
It's the dad speaking.
And did you pay for this door? They would like put me in my room, and I would like have no outlet to get out my anger and frustration. Like we weren't having conversations, right? And so you lock me in a room, and I'm gonna get it out somehow. And I had put so many holes in my door that one time my dad and I were in a really big argument, and I was like, whatever. And I went to my room, I went to slam the door, and I went through it.
Damn.
And I was like an idiot.
No door left.
You know, yeah, it was so like there was literally holes in the door, and I was like, you know, I was all mad. I'm like, whatever, and I tried to slam the door on him, and I went, boom.
It's like a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
So embarrassing. Like,
and you were even more mad because you're like, fuck, what an idiot.
Yeah, looks stupid. Anyway, so I come home from boarding school, come home from the wilderness. I'm already behind in credits. You know, I'm starting my freshman year, second semester behind. And it was like court mandated that I had to be supervised 24/7. So I didn't I had to take like 8 periods or 7 periods, right? Like my actual class started second period.
Hold on. Court supervised. What do you mean?
It was court mandated that I was supervised 24/7. Like mom would drop me off at school, and I had to go to the PE teacher's class and be an aide.
But you need to have an adult around at all times.
Yes.
Okay. Did they vet the PE teacher?
I mean,
real?
funny story.
Uh-oh.
The PE teacher. Okay, this is a good story actually. The PE teacher, she was cool, but one day she had a substitute, and so I kind of clarified with her. I said, "Hey, look, I'm weird situation. This isn't my class, but this is my class. Like, I just need to sit here and be monitored." She was like, "Oh yeah, no, that's fine." So I'm like, "So you don't mind if I'm on my phone, right?" She's like, "No."
What were you doing on your phone, Eric?
Fucking
Dick
minding.
pics? Are we talking? This is gonna be a dick pic story. Was she like, let me see?
She's sharing is caring. Cock and balls.
balls.
Cock and balls. No. We were on the turf. They were doing like flag football or whatever. And this is not my class. So I'm just going
What
to.
football?
Flag football.
Right. Enunciate
If
a
it
little bit for me.
if it was that one, I would have been playing. What's that 94 night? If they're playing with balls, I'm all in. Anyways,
I don't know that one.
so I'm got the okay from her, and I'm like sitting there on my phone, and she like all of a sudden like flashes on me in front of everybody. I don't know if she's trying to assert her. No, not that type of flash. Like, hey, get off your phone. And I don't think she's talking to me because we just had this conversation, right?
yeah.
So I'm like, and
a
she's
bitch.
like, I'm talking to you. And she comes up from behind and like grabs my shoulder and turns me around. And I look at her and I
Wrong
said,
kid to do it to.
you just made a fucking mistake. She goes, go to the office. So I went to the office. They called mom. Didn't tell her what happened. Mom has to leave work. Come pick me up. And I said, okay. So mom's pissed at me, right? Because she doesn't know the story. So we get in the car. She's like, tell me what happened now. I'm like, yeah, well, blah, 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 blah. And then she grabbed my shoulder. She did what?
So
Flipped the car around, went back to the school, told me, I was going into the office with her because I'm like, she's like, you sit here. And she went off on them.
can I pause and say something? Mom's gonna get mad at me for saying this, but
Say it.
Mom likes to fight.
She does.
I don't mean just argue.
Mm-hmm.
The brothers know what I mean.
Should we
Anyway,
tell the
I'm not-
Tahoe story eventually?
No.
No?
Maybe,
Okay,
maybe
never mind.
sometime.
Maybe
but
one
let's
day.
just say that like she's coming home. Never mind. Go ahead.
Question.
Yep.
Before the substitute, like you told her you were on your phone, did your regular PE teacher like have an understanding where you could be on your phone?
Yes, that's why I even had that conversation was this is the norm, right? I'm just here to observe and be observed. Essentially. Like this is not my class, but I'm here. Like I'm supposed to be here, but I'm
That was a huge short circuit on her part. Like especially if you just told her.
and it was almost just like you're trying to use me to
As an
like
example.
as an example so
Yeah.
the other kids listen and guess what? This is not my class, so I'm gonna cuss you the fuck out.
Yo, I wonder if there's like notes from your regular PE teacher like about Eric, like, hey, listen, this motherfucker here.
Probably.
You need to.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably because
There's
actually,
handcuffs in the desk just in case.
Yeah. Sounds kinky. So anyways, yeah, I was like, how to be supervised 24/7. In fact, I went to the donut shop one morning and somehow my dad found out about it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, are you fucking kidding me? Anyways, so it's my junior
I mean, if
year.
you're supposed to be, you're not supposed to go
If
to
I
the
want a
donut shop.
fucking donut, I'm gonna go get a fucking donut.
Glazed?
Instead of getting abused by a teacher. Glazed, you're stupid. Fool. Okay.
Oh, boy. My bad.
So it's my junior year, and my dad and I are in a very tumultuous place in our relationship. I have a lot of resentment towards him for how things played out in court and, how things were done. And at this time, my dad's fully lives in Tahoe full time. And I was in court-ordered therapy. I'm like, more fucking therapy. And it was like November, my junior year, and I was on my way to therapy. My dad and I were in a huge fight about something. And me being the volatile child I was, pretty much texted him and was like, you know what, Dad, my life would be a lot better if you would go die. Whew. And so then I went to therapy, probably talked a gang of shit about him. And I was like, Mom picked me up from therapy. I was leaving, and it said my dad was calling. And I was like, ignore. Called again, ignore. And then it said his girlfriend was calling. And my mom was like,
Yeah.
you should probably answer that. And so I answered it, and she was like, your dad just had a stroke. And like
Wait a second. That was the same day?
same within like
I don't know this
the
story.
time frame, like literally just said the most god awful thing.
Yeah, but kids say that stuff.
No,
too.
for sure.
Yeah.
And just to fucking salt and injury, she was like, he was saying my name the whole time. Like when he was like out of it, he was like saying Eric. Whew, shit. And so mom and I got in the car. We drove to Reno. He was being helicopter flown to Renown Hospital. And drove up there like middle of the night and got there and he was, unconscious. And I think his stroke was too big that they couldn't give him the clot buster shot or something. I don't know. It would have made him worse. So just like fast forward a little bit, he gets moved into the ICU. And at this point, he, I think this is like weeks have gone by. He's now in the ICU. I'm going up there every weekend. And actually, no, not a couple weeks have gone by because my sister, and just to preface, I have an adopted sister that my dad adopted from a previous marriage before he met my mom. And so she was probably in her 20s when I was born. Yeah. I think she's a little older than you, right?
She was in the Navy.
Yeah. And so she flies in. My dad's Raider teammates are there, some of his close friends, and she like hugs everybody in the room but me. And I have never seen this side of her because anytime I was with her, my dad was around. And of course, she's going to be nice to me around my dad. But
I wasn't aware.
Yeah, I wasn't aware, but I called mom because I was flying up by myself. Mom was flying me up there.
And you're 13, 14, something like that?
At this, I think I'm 15 or 16 at this point. I think it was 15 turning 16.
Okay.
And I call her and she was like, "Hi, sweetie, how is everything?" And I'm like, "Oh, nothing's new except for, Cindy came and she hugged everybody in the room but me." And it didn't hurt my feelings because she's like ex-military, like we're just two different worlds. Like,
yeah, but it's almost a statement, dude.
It was a statement, and that's when mom was like, "Oh, sweetie, I think it's time I tell you. She's never liked you." I'm like, "Wait, what?" And she pulled mom aside when mom got pregnant with me and said, "Look what you've done. There goes my inheritance." And so come to find out, she has had this like vendetta against me because I'm the biological child.
I was just going to say, it's not only that.
Yeah.
But it's also, you got the genes.
Yeah. The Sherman genes. And so
what a piece
it
of
definitely set the tone for how things were going to play out. And, her and I had a conversation. She was like, "You need to go back home, go to school. Like, that's what dad would want." And I was like, "No, I'm staying up here. Like, I'm not leaving him."
Mom told you that?
Sorry, my sister. She was like, "You need to go back down."
What fucking place does she have to tell you what to do?
I know. But mom agreed. She was like, "No, you need to stay in school.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it's
do
the right
your
thing to say, but still.
right, but like not your place to say."
Right.
And so I think she was like, "I need to tell Eric what dad would want, what dad would tell Eric."
Sure.
I think that's where she was coming from.
Whatever.
Not to fucking speak for her at all.
As far as I'm concerned, anything she says after what I just heard.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm coming down, I'm going to school, and then mom is flying me up on the weekends. And I am basically sleeping in the ICU with my dad. I'm like, I can't get a hotel. I can't, I'm underage.
Yep.
And there was one night that he went in for he was having like brain bleeding and he went in for a scan and my phone was like going off the hook with like people texting me, Raider teammates, USC people, like and it was just too much. And I knew that my dad barely knew how to work Facebook. and so I knew that he only had his close people on Facebook.
Yeah.
And so I just posted a status like, "Hey, here's an update." Like basically stop texting me.
Right.
Here's an update.
It's a rough time already. And
Rough
then
time
having
already.
to answer
And
all
I
these
don't
things.
want to feel like I'm having to.
Well, not only that, but you don't want to make anybody feel bad for supporting all that shit.
Right.
Yeah.
And so made a simple Facebook post and my dad came back. And at this point, he can't open his eyes. He can't talk. He can't eat, but we're communicating through finger taps. So he can hear. I'm like, "Dad, are you, do you want this?" Tap once. And he would tap. And I'm also like singing this song that he used to sing to me when we used to walk to school, which I'm not going to sing because I'll lose it.
Yeah.
But super emotional. And the nurse comes in and he's like, "Hey, so I just got off the phone with your sister and your uncle, and they don't want any visitors here from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And I said, "Oh, yeah, okay, I'll let people know."
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, they mean you." I'm like, "Okay, well, we can go talk about this outside because my dad can hear everything. Yeah. And like, regardless of how I feel about my sister, my dad loves her and like, he just needs to focus on getting better. So he doesn't need any outside noise." So I was like holding this like teddy bear that the Busiks, our friends from Tahoe, had brought him, and we step outside, but it's like outside the doors that you need to be buzzed in to get into the ICU. And we're talking, he's explaining it to me. I'm like, okay, well, can I go say bye to him so he doesn't think I abandoned him? And he was like, no, I can't let you back in there. And I saw red. I don't know what I did. I don't know what I said. But all I remember is my friend's boyfriend, who I've never met before, had to come pick me up from the hospital because the cops were on their way.
Yeah.
And so I remember I'm like getting into his car, like the cops are like pulling in, and I'm like calling mom. I'm so pissed. I'm in tears, and mom's like, I'm gonna fucking sue them. Like,
So, just so that it wasn't missed, the hospital had a conversation with your uncle and your sister. Mm-hmm. They said they didn't want any visitors from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.
yes, correct. And I forgot to mention
they
something
knew they knew that you were spending the night.
because of the Facebook post.
Got it.
And so it's 11 p.m. in Reno. So it's 11, 12, 1. It's 2 a.m. in Maryland.
Yeah.
There's no way that my sister was up on Facebook. She didn't see it. It was my uncle who saw it, called her, and made a big deal about it, I'm sure. And they together, because the nurse said your uncle and your sister. So let me preface this. A fucking word, preface.
It's a good word.
Before I went outside and talked to the nurse about not being able to be let back in, I got on the phone with my uncle. And I, again, had never, ever had a bad interaction with him, ever. It was always, nephew, man.
Right.
And I get on the phone. He was like, nephew, man, how are you? And I said, not too good. He goes, why is that? And I said, because I don't really like this game that's going on with you and my sister. And he flipped and said, well, what makes you think anyone gives a fuck what you think, Eric? And I was like, okay, you're the op. Like, you're done.
Yeah.
And so I was pissed from that. Then the nurse telling me I can't go back inside. It was like, okay. And I'm like 15, 16. I have nowhere to go. I'm in Reno by myself. I'm in shorts because I got off of school and flew up here in what I was wearing. And so, but I was back there 7 a.m. the next day and hung out with my dad. And I even asked the hospital, I said, because I called my attorney from the divorce, that I had my own attorney, and I'm like, look, I know this is not your specialty, but I need help here because like shit is going down. And she was like, well, just ask them to present whatever documentation they have saying that your sister has the power of attorney to be making these calls from Maryland. They couldn't find a single fucking document.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
Question.
Yes.
So if, because of a hospital is supposed to like help take care of people, where do they expect, how, you 16 at this age?
15, 16.
Where do they expect a 16-year-old to go
During
this time?
That was my mom's biggest complaint. You put my minor child out on the street.
Yeah.
They don't need to know that I have friends in Reno. They don't. So the like head of the hospital said, well, we have a hotel here at the hospital, and we offered that to him.
No, they didn't.
No, you didn't, because I quite literally have nowhere to go, and I would have absolutely accepted that, and I would have been at the door at 7 a.m. saying, let me in, here, my restriction's over. And so it was a whole debacle.
I have a question more on like the human side of all of this, because you've gotten this from your sister. Mom's told you the story about, I'm sure, her not liking you. The uncle one is kind of surprising, right? So like, you've never had any inkling that he felt any sort of way towards you other than loving uncle, nephew. I don't expect you to know this right off the bat, but do you know why?
I do.
Why?
I'm going to get to that because it comes about later in the story.
Because it seems like the worst possible time.
So isolated. Like I'm in Reno, like my dad's health, like I am now my dad's caretaker. I'm, changing his pillows, and like it's my job to nurture for him now as a 15, 16-year-old. And not only that, but then I'm battling these adults who are supposed to be helping me, guiding me through this time, and are making it 10 times harder. And so fast forward a little bit, my dad's still in ICU. I'm coming home doing school, going back up there. And during the school week, I would call him in the evening after I finished my homework, and he still wasn't really talking, but they would put the phone to his ear, tell him I love him. Yeah. And one time I call, and the nurse is like, "Hey, Eric." I'm like, "Hey, can I talk to my dad?" She was like, "Yeah, do you have the passcode?" I'm like, 1, 2, 3, please. Like, and she was like, "Oh, you don't know. Like, your sister put a passcode on your dad, and anybody who doesn't have the passcode, I can't give any information, and you can't talk to him." And there was like random football fans calling the hospital,
I can imagine.
asking updates about, is he alive? Is he, what happened to Rod? And so I get that aspect of it, right? But I get on the phone. It's 9 p.m.
Let a brother know.
Yeah, it's 9 p.m. It's 9 p.m. on a fucking Friday. Never mind. It's 9 p.m. and 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's midnight, Maryland. But guess what? I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I'm calling Cindy, and she finally picks up, and I'm like, "Yo, what's the passcode for dad?" She's like, "Oh, Eric, that's really just for like adults who like are trying to call." I'm like, "Well, I can't talk to him unless I have the passcode." And we go back and forth. She hangs up on me. I'm like,
Without
"Okay."
the passcode?
Yeah, without the passcode. So I said,
my
"Okay,
God,
well,
dude.
guess who's getting no sleep tonight? You."
Yeah.
I have all night. I
Yeah.
will call your phone until you unplug it from the wall. Like, call.
King of petty. I will do it.
Call.
Yeah.
Call. I kept calling, and finally her husband gets on the phone. He goes, "Hello." I'm like,
I am not scared.
"Put Cindy on the phone." "Who is this?" I'm like, "See, you know who the fuck this is. Put Cindy on the phone." He goes, "Listen here, you little shit. You better hope I don't come out there and beat your ass." I'm like, "Bro, I will personally buy you the plane ticket that you think you're gonna get on
We'll be
to come do
waiting."
just that." Exactly. And so it was just very tumultuous between my sister, her husband, me. Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know if I ever got the password, or maybe she lifted it or told them like Eric doesn't need the password. Something happened where I gained access to my own father again. And so, yeah. And also, like when she initially flew in to the hospital, when she, didn't hug me, I'm at my dad's bedside. Where is she? Condo.
Yeah.
Going through things.
Of course.
Took the Super Bowl ring. That goes to me. Got it back, obviously. But
Won
it was,
that one.
And it's just like, okay, well, if you're going to do that, then like allow me to do that with you, because you and your husband are just
It's not
ransacking.
how she operates.
And so that was another aspect of it. And so I just remember like, and I was just so angry with her. I was in art class once, just like, "You think you fucking won this battle? Bitch, you started a fucking war." Like,
I remember you and I talking about this like at the time and like bits and pieces of conversations, but I heard it from Mom too. Mm-hmm. Holy shit.
yeah, I mean, and Mom's been a trooper because she has been the middleman between my sister and I. I'm not even going to call her that anymore because, as you'll come to hear. But then my dad gets really bad pneumonia. He was paralyzed on his left side
From the stroke.
and this is, I'm now in my senior year. So he's moved out of the hospital. He was in a couple different places, but he ended up finding a place that the NFL did, by the,
I remember
very
I remember
thankful.
taking him back from that place when we drove, and
Yeah.
he was trying to tell me to get a bicycle for him.
Yeah.
He loved to ride bikes, and we're in the car, and he's like, Ronnie, bike ride.
Yeah.
Fun. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm like, you want me to get you a bike? We can try to make that
I
happen,
don't
dude.
think your left
We
leg
might have
really
to get you a sidecar.
And so, yeah, he's in this new place in Reno. It's called Cascades of the Sierra. Very nice facility. NFL paid for a decent amount of it. And he is laying in his bed and needs to throw up, but he can't lean over because he's paralyzed on his left side.
Yeah.
Aspirates and gets really bad pneumonia. To the point where he's in the hospital. The doctor's calling and is like, "You should probably get up here and like say your goodbyes. It's not looking good."
Okay.
Oh my God.
Take a breath. You good? You're good.
Jesus, this is like therapy. Holy shit. I guess I haven't like talked about this. And so Mom and I go up there and we're like, all right, this is it. And we see him and he's just like, just laying there. Like he's breathing, but he's not talking. He's not opening his eyes. The guy's just beat. And so my dad's dad, my grandpa, passed away at age 50 of a heart attack.
Yep.
And my dad had me at like 51. And so my dad's like biggest thing was, I want to make it for Eric's graduation. And so, oh shit. So I'm like, okay, this is too much. I need to go. I think I had friends up in Reno, so they picked me up or something, and Mom had a conversation with him and was like, Rod, we're putting you on hospice, and if you like give us a sign at Eric's graduation, he opens his eyes, like looks at her. She was like, Rod, we're about to, like, they already moved the other guy out. Like, you're about to, go be with the Lord.
Yeah.
And she was like, if you want to like fight, I need to hear you say it with your mouth, your words. You need to say the word fight.
Yeah.
And he was like, fight.
Let's go.
And so Mom got on the phone with Cindy and said, I need you to hear it yourself so you don't think that I'm trying to keep him alive, for my own selfish reasons. And she heard it. And so we like stopped the hospice. In fact, the nurses were annoyed that we weren't going to kill my father.
I know.
They had moved the guy out and they were like, oh, so we're not going through with this? I'm like, no, bitch, we're not.
There's been some time too. It's like, I think people, the type of stroke he had, like usually finishes people.
Yeah.
The dude did not want to be in bed. I mean, you could probably tell stories about him trying to get out of bed and leave.
Oh, for sure.
He's
They
a
found
stud.
him.
He's like,
He was in a memory care facility because of the dementia from the NFL.
yeah.
And you have to be keyed in and keyed out. They found my dad outside the
remember
facility.
that story. Yeah.
Tilt over in the rocks.
Yeah.
He was trying to go, and his vision on the left side of each eye was, so he couldn't see perfectly, right? And so he's, wheeling, he's got his foot,
Dude,
and
he's
he's
an
wheeling
animal.
himself.
He's an animal.
And ends up tilted over in the rocks. And they find, like, how the fuck did you get out?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, after that conversation, the next day, his blood cell count was up, and like, he was back. And I'm like, for somebody, my dad's number one thing growing up, I do not want, if I can't wipe my own ass, if you take me up to the top of the hill that I grew up on, position my wheelchair just right, push me down, I'll land in a field of bougainvilleas or something like that, his favorite flower. I'm like, oh, that's dark, but okay.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm like, you keep fucking beating everything that's supposed to take you out. But he, bounced right back. And unfortunately, transporting him to my graduation was too much work. I don't know. He didn't make it, but he was obviously there in spirit. And I graduate high school. I'm in cosmetology school. And at this point, my uncle is calling me frequently, wanting to make amends. And I was just in such a like in my mind, I was like, you're dead to me. I'm not answering your phone call. And Mom, she's like, honey, you should practice forgiveness. And I'm like, you first.
Yeah.
You are the queen of grudges, right? Like, and I get it. She was right. I had some conversations.
It's a lot to ask, dude.
It is, but it's also like, I deserve answers. Like, I deserve
the forgiveness is a lot to ask. Like, before we get there,
right. Right, exactly. And so that's why I was like, I do deserve some answers. And I also kept reminding myself that, like, imagine if my dad had passed away from the stroke that he had, and those would have been my last words. Like, that plays, and I felt that haunted me for the years to come. I felt a lot of guilt surrounding that. And so one day, it was like, I think it was before right around before Christmas time.
His birthday, by the way.
Yeah, my dad's birthday's on Christmas, but I decided to call my uncle. Call him, goes to voicemail. I'm like, whatever, he'll call me back. I get home. Mom's like, did you hear what happened to your uncle? He passed away. Like, literally that day.
Yeah.
The day I went to call him, he had passed away in his sleep.
Yeah.
I think, and I wonder if this played a part. He was visiting my dad not too long before that and slipped and fell and hit his head on ice. So I don't know if that played a part in his passing. But I know he passed in his sleep. He had his bags packed, ready to go to Oregon to see my cousins for the holidays. And I was like, fuck. So I get on the phone, and this is where I'm, that question about why would they treat me like that? I get on the phone with my cousins, giving my condolences, telling them I love them. And they said, Eric, we just want to let you know that we don't agree with how our dad treated you during that time, because we told him if the roles were reversed, Runkle Odd, they called my dad, instead of Uncle Rod, Runkle Odd. If the roles were reversed, Runkle Odd would have, stepped in and been our father figure, and you didn't do that for Eric.
Wow.
And so I think that's why he was calling me, to try and
You see racist kids, right?
make things better. And that's when they proceeded to tell me, you know, him and Cindy acted like that because they blamed you for your dad's stroke. And I said, blamed me for my dad's stroke. There's a medical diagnosis that a piece of plaque broke off in his artery, but sure. And I think it was probably the fact that my dad and I were in that huge fight. Like, I don't know if they correlate that with him having a stroke, but
Oh, it's super immature, dude. Come on.
so yeah, he passes away, and went to his funeral, and trying to see what the next.
You talking about your uncle?
My uncle, yeah. Basically, I think the next like big thing that happens in this saga of my dad is my sister says, "Hey, what do you think about moving him to Maryland, where she lives?" And at first, I was like, "Fuck no." And then I had to have like an adult conversation with myself, you know, regardless of how I feel about her, my dad loves her. And if he can get more, you know, my mom and I can only get up there once, twice a month. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of, you know, she was working.
It's travel. It's hard. It's logistically, it makes it difficult.
And so I'm like, if he could get more frequent in-person, face-to-face time with people that he loves, will that be better for him? And so I remember
By the way, that's
asking
the
him,
difference between the two of you.
1,000%, 1,000%. And
Other
I
things,
have, so I asked him, I'm like, Dad, do you want to go live in Maryland? And I'm expecting him to be like, no. He was all indifferent. I'm like, bitch, you're supposed to say no. You want to fucking stay here with me, and not in California, but Nevada. And I told my sister, I said, look, I'm not saying yes, but I'm not saying no. Like, let me think about it. And, you know, we all had conversations at Mom's house, all the brothers. And, you know, my dad was also very influential in all my brothers' lives. So, pretty much we all said, you know, if she's going to move him anywhere, move him closer to us, and we can all go frequently see him. So I ended up in, you know, this is over the course of a couple months. So I ended up texting my sister and I said, hey, you know, I've given it some thought, and actually I'm not for him moving to the East Coast. This bitch. Oh my God, Eric, I was wondering why you weren't responding. I must have had an old number saved for you, but like, we're moving him next week.
Oh, that's right, dude.
This bitch had the NFL pay a lot of money to put him in an RV and drive him to Maryland. And I said, I'm sorry, what? And you sneaky little bitch. So she had him moved from Reno to Maryland. And I said, okay, well then you are going to be paying with his money. You're going to be paying for my visits out there to go see him. But it's also, if getting to Reno was already difficult, getting to the East Coast, like I could only get there once or twice a year. But I would go out there, I would see him, and then, you know, now he pretty much was in a wheelchair from the time of his stroke to the time of his passing. I think it was about 12 years.
Except for when he got out of bed and walked out of the hospital.
And so for somebody who didn't want to, you know, he beat COVID, he had skin cancer everywhere, pneumonia. The guy sure beat everything that was sent to take him out.
Savage.
Very resilient, very persistent, stubborn.
I wonder where you get it from.
Yeah, I wonder where. And so January, what year were we in? 2025. So January, oh my God.
23?
Was it 20? No, 26 will be 2 years. So 24.
24.
So
No, that can't be right.
No, it is. January 2024.
Oh, yeah, because it's going to be January 2026. Yeah.
So she had texted me or called me.
You had a phone call when you were out there.
Yeah. You know, Dad's throwing up blood. So pretty much he passed away February 6th, but I knew that it was probably imperative that I get out there. And she was like kind of updating me through text message and was like, you know what, Eric, it's bad. Like, we're putting him on hospice, and if you don't want to come, I won't hold it against you. And I said, nice try. I'm actually moving my flight up. I'll see you very soon.
Yeah.
And so I fly to Maryland. Probably the most traumatic, but also beautiful weekend of my life. And yeah, pretty much stayed at his bedside the entire time because I wanted it to happen when I was there for selfish reasons. Yeah. And unfortunately, it didn't happen when I was there because I had a flight home back to work. You know, life goes on. I had a flight out of Baltimore coming home at like 6 a.m. And where my dad was in Lexington Park, Maryland, which is a 2-hour drive to Baltimore.
Yeah.
So I needed to be leaving by like 1:32, drop off the rental, get to my flight. And I'm just laying there and I'm like, I cannot leave him.
Yeah.
Like, how do you walk away
Yeah. I know.
knowing that that's going to be the last time,
I know.
you know?
I know.
So I wanted him to pass away when I was there, but he didn't. And I honestly think that he was waiting for me to leave
I think
because
so.
he made a comment when I was giving him water, which everybody was like, he's not thirsty. He's not thirsty. The moment they left, the guy's like, you know, and I'm like,
Water.
Yeah. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, and you know, my sister would make little jokes like, oh, did you give it to him through a straw? Like knowing that like, it's not funny. Like,
No.
not funny at all. And so I was like giving him water once and he like bit the sponge and like wouldn't let me take it out.
That's his humor.
Yeah. And then he said, yeah. And then I tried to give him more and he said, like, get out of here. Like, obviously, get out of here.
Yeah.
And I was like, get out of here. Like, you don't want any more water, or like, get out of here. Like, thanks for coming, but
Yeah.
like, you got to go.
Yeah.
And so I really do think that he was, you know, like, thanks for coming, but like, I don't want you here for this, because I flew home and then the next day.
Here, so I'll give you my opinion, knowing that story. We had a beautiful conversation when you were out there.
Yes.
That I'll never forget.
I was bawling and I was driving the rental, couldn't see.
But when I hear that story, as proud as your dad was, I think that it's one of those things too that he probably wanted to do it on his own.
Yep.
Didn't want to burden you with any sort of lasting images, you know, of what that was going to be like for you.
Yeah.
And I think it was just another, not only sign of strength, but also showing a sign of caring that he didn't want to burden you with that last second.
I agree. I mean, the nurses thought that I was like, hey, I do have a flight in case I fall asleep. Can you like wake me up? I didn't fucking get 1 minute of sleep.
How could you?
And I like walked in, they walked in, and I'm like bawling, you know, kissing him, saying goodbye. And I'm like, you guys have scissors? And so they like brought me these like not kitchen scissors, fucking office scissors, and, you know, like cut some of his hair and like walking, like leaving there. And I was like, fuck, like I'm never gonna see him again, never gonna touch him again.
I know.
So then while I'm in Maryland, obviously my sister and I are having to talk about funeral arrangements, and this is like before he had even passed. I was like, I want to have it at USC. Like my dad is in the USC Hall of Fame. That's something my dad would love. And she was like, you know, I talked to my mom and she said if it's at USC, she probably won't come. And in my head, I'm thinking, who the fuck cares about your mother? Who cares? But I didn't want to ruffle any feathers because the NFL was going to reimburse up to a certain dollar amount of funeral expenses. But guess who has access to that money? Her, not me.
Yeah.
So I have to play nice in order to get what I want. And so I was
It
like,
seems like
you
the
know what?
NFL's been good.
Very
for
good.
A lot of
Very
this.
good.
Yeah.
And so I had to play nice, and I said, you know what? We can cross that bridge when we get there. He's, you know, he hasn't passed yet. And so in mine and my sister's last moments together, she was leaving to go cook food for her family, and then I was flying home. And so she said, look, I'm not in any rush if you aren't about funeral services. I would prefer something in the Bay Area because that's where his teammates are. I said, yeah, sure. We can cross that bridge when we get there. So he passes away. I'm at home and we're talking on the phone, and she goes, okay, so how do you feel about like July? We're in February. And I'm like, July for she was like, yeah, I know you said you weren't in any rush. And I'm like, oh, I meant I wasn't in any rush in terms of like next week.
Yeah.
But like July is too far away, baby girl. Like for me, I've, you know, dealt with a lot of deaths, and like your mourning doesn't really start until after the services, right? You know, and that's when everybody moves on with their life, and then you're left with the reality. And so I said, I'm not waiting until July. Like, and her thing was she wanted it in the Bay Area for a big turnout. People move on with their lives. The urgency, if people need to make travel arrangements, is no longer
Especially
there.
with like his peers are at that age too. It's harder.
We're losing them left and right.
Yeah.
And so I said, look, I'm not waiting until July, but nice try. And that's when she kind of said, you know what, Eric, you have my blessing. Do what you need to do. I had my closure when I saw Dad at the funeral home.
Okay.
And so I said, okay, thanks. And I said that if by any chance you can make it, would love to have you there, did all of that, right? So then I'm trying to figure out how much money I have left to deal with because I know she billed the cremation to the NFL budget. Do I have this much? Do I have this much? And so I'm like, I cannot get her on the same page. And I need to know before I'm booking these places.
Yeah.
And so finally she's like, call me. So I call her and she goes, so what is this that you're trying to plan? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. I've never planned anything like this, but it will be. And I made sure to reiterate everything that she wanted. I said, it's going to be in the Bay Area. It's going to have Christian influence. It's going to be uplifting. It's going to be at Darling Fisher and Campbell. And then my friend's opening up his restaurant early for us, and everyone's going to tell their favorite Rod Sherman stories. And also, by the way, Cindy, I moved it from the 9th to the 16th because that's the only day in March that you said you could make.
Yeah.
She goes, okay. Well, I realize that this is something that you're doing for yourself, but I think that I'm going to go to Tahoe and do something that Dad would like. First of all, bitch, if we're going to talk about what Dad would like, we should have been doing at USC like the fuck I said in the first place. So fast forward, guess who doesn't come to the funeral? She doesn't show up. Doesn't tell me she's not coming.
No show.
I went to the storage. There's like photos galore. I didn't even know that she was married before she was married to the husband she was married to. I said, these are good photos. Trying to be courteous. I was going to include them in the slideshow. Like, are you okay with that? No response. Hey, we're putting together a program. I imagine you're going to want to say something if you're coming. Silence. And so my, mom and I were like, maybe she'll show up. Yeah. Like, who knows? So, she never did. And just to conclude this whole thing.
Beautiful service too, by the way.
Yeah, gorgeous. It was beautiful. Just to conclude this whole thing,
Good job.
Thank you. I needed the money from the NFL because Mom actually put everything on her credit cards. And I told Mom, I said, look, if Cindy doesn't play nice and we don't get access to the NFL money, I will reimburse you from some of my inheritance. And so Mom was like, yeah, no worries. Boom.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, thank you, Mommy. And I'm like contacting Cindy. I'm like, yo, did you put my name on the account? Like, what do I need to do? And she texts me back, and this is after the services, right? And she goes, did you send me my photo yet? Mind you, there is a photo in storage of a cowboy and a little girl. Is it Rod Sherman and is it Cindy? No, it's complete strangers, but it's very sentimental to her, which who am I to judge? Great. Sure. I pulled the photo out of storage and it was in the back of my car, but I'm so sorry. I'm a little busy working full time and planning a funeral that I haven't gotten around to sending you your fucking photo.
How dare you, Eric?
And so I said, you know what? Is that what you need me to do in order for you to uphold what you already said you were going to do? Yeah. And then she was typing and I fucking called Mom and I'm like, this bitch is about to fucking hear it from me. I've played nice. I kept my dad in front of my mind. What would my dad want me to do? How would he want me to act?
The kettle's whistling right now. Yeah. You're about to blow up. Yeah.
And so I'm on the phone with Mom. She goes, she's calling me. I'll call you right back. And so pretty much Cindy hops on the phone with Mom, blames me for not being able to make it to my dad's funeral because I didn't, make it in July. And you know what? My mom called her out. She said, you know what, Cindy, you gave Eric your blessing because you said you had the closure that you needed. And she goes, well, I thought I did, but I didn't. And she goes, well, whose fucking fault is that? And she said, you know what? Your dad is looking down and he's disappointed in a lot of people and you're one of them. Yeah. And the only person that he's like proud of is Eric. Yeah. And so I will personally send you the picture myself. I will have Eric drop it off to me today, but I put the funeral on my credit cards. And so I need to be reimbursed. Yeah. And I have anxiety every time Eric calls. And you know what it was is for 12 years before that, she had leverage over me via my dad. She had power of attorney. Once he passed away, we are level playing fields. Yeah. And she did not like that I was calling the shots, that I was planning. I have the connections. This is my show, and I included her as much as I could, despite her giving me her blessing. And she ended up telling Mom, she goes, you know what? I just feel like I'm being pushed out because I'm the adopted child. And there it is. Thank you.
Wah.
Thank you. There it is.
Yeah, that's the reason. That's the human reason. Yeah. I mean, better person and better doing all of this. Yeah. Anyway, I mean,
good riddance. So yeah, no, I don't have and that's why I always say, I have brothers. Yeah. I've never, ever considered her a sister. Yeah. So anyways.
That was it.
Whew,
that was a good one.
Doozy.
You made it. Proud of you.
Thank you.
not
Thanks
not
for
an easy
listening. It's
topic
like
to listen.
that was like kind of like therapy, just like getting it out. I don't.
Not an easy topic to talk about.
No, it's not, and I don't actually talk about it too much.
Ever,
So
really.
yeah.
So first time, I think it might be the first time that
I
you
think
and
we've
I've
talked
kinda
about like bits and pieces,
Yeah.
but like as a whole in its entirety, start to finish, that's the saga
thank you
of
for sharing.
that. So, anyways, thanks for listening. Love you.
Love you.
And we'll be back next week with some more juicy stuff. Cheers. Special thanks to our sponsor, Cardiff & Cocktails, located here in Campbell, California, for letting us use this beautiful space to film our episodes.
Yes, thanks, guys. And Cardiff and Cocktails is the perfect spot to host a private event. And if you mention our show, Bookend Bros, they'll waive the venue fee.
Contact them for your next private event.